Hi, I'm Sian, one of the news editors at Manx Radio, and it's a quick turnaround on this episode of the newscast this morning after the breaking news that the Chief Minister has asked Chris Thomas to step down from his role as Infrastructure Minister with immediate effect. In a statement issued this morning, Alfred Cannan says it has become increasingly clear that the DOI, with its varying range of responsibilities, remains a difficult department to oversee and effectively lead, and, as I have made clear previously, is in need of reform. Whilst I'm very grateful for the work that Chris Thomas has undertaken to review some areas of operations, there are many matters that now need to be refreshed and reconsidered to determine a clarity of direction that will ensure the effective delivery of services into the future. It is now, therefore, my intention to assume in the short term ministerial responsibility for the department and initiate a more rapid reform process. This will include consideration of the allocation of responsibility for services across government and the creation of different oversight mechanisms. He goes on to say, I want to thank Chris for his contribution. I have no doubt that he will continue to input effectively on public policy debates, and I hope we can work together again in the future. Well, Mr Thomas has been Infrastructure Minister since June last year, and it's not the first time he's been asked to step down from a ministerial role. In 2020, the Douglas Central MHK was sacked from his role as Policy and Reform Minister after his actions were deemed to be at odds with the collective responsibility. When contacted this morning, Mr Thomas said he wasn't prepared to comment at the present time, but will discuss the matter in due course. I spoke to Manx Radio's political correspondent Phil Gawne on Breakfast this morning.
It's certainly a bold and decisive step, which is the sort of thing we have become accustomed to from the Chief Minister. The question, I suppose, that needs to be asked, and no doubt the Chief Minister will be trying to reach an answer to this, is this the sort of thing that can be dealt with bold and decisive actions? No doubt at all that the public have lost patience with the department. But we have to remember, how was this department brought into being? It came into being back in 2010, following a savage cut to the former DOT's budget. The DOT's budget was cut by 50%. All ministers, including myself, I have to say, on 2 occasions who've been there, have struggled with the fact that the department has had that significant cut and continues to have real terms cuts in every year since it came into being in 2010.
Now, it's the final Tynwald sitting before the summer recess tomorrow. We know that the Infrastructure Minister was due to move several quite significant items at that. What is the significance of the timing here?
It's hard to know. I mean, it's sorry, my voice is going a bit. It must in some way be connected with the £10 million. Let's call it an overspend, but the 10 million that's going to be put in to supplement the contingency fund for the Liverpool landing stage. Undoubtedly, that will have impacted. No doubt, public opinion is quite hostile to this. But again, if we sort of look back into any of the reports, the investigations that have been undertaken into DOI, every managerial report done by external consultants implies that the department is under-resourced when it comes to managing big projects such as that Liverpool landing stage project. So it's possibly something to do with that. The Chief Minister has a very, very busy workload as Chief Minister, and being able to run an exceptionally busy department like the DOI, as well as being Chief Minister, I can't see that being more than a short-term exercise somehow.
And for Mr Thomas, this is the second time he's been removed from the Council of Ministers. Where does he go from here?
Well, it's hard to say, although I must say it gives him more of a chance of defending his seat at the next election. I think the problem with Chris, he's great at analysing problems, maybe spends too long analysing and is seen to be spending too long analysing problems. But I'm sure, Chris is a very bright and thoughtful individual, and I'm sure he will find a way to survive this and move on to to other things. But certainly this is a shock. I certainly hadn't seen this coming. And I think Chief Minister Alf Cannan, you just need to be a little bit careful what you wish for.
And Phil, just very quickly, this is another ministerial change within Alfred Cannan's government. There have been several since he took charge as Chief Minister. That's not even 2 years ago. So in terms of stability going forward from here and confidence in the government, another change, what do you make of that?
Well, perhaps in the past, governments could be accused of being too stable in terms of ministerial appointments, which allowed ministers to maybe be a little bit more ponderous than they would if they knew that their heads were on the block, if they weren't acting swiftly. Maybe this is a new style. Maybe this is a new way of doing things, which will deliver the results that the Chief Minister undoubtedly is keen to deliver. But I suppose only time will tell.
Now, Phil, you've mentioned that the Chief Minister is taking on this role at the moment. Who could we potentially see taking up this post more long term?
Well, I often hear, or it's often said, oh, well, the minister's got a very small pool to pick from. I don't believe that's the case. I mean, he has potentially 32 members of Tynwald to choose from. And yes, a number of the members lack political experience, but there are plenty of members who could do this. I mean, we know that Tim Crookall, for example, has been infrastructure minister. He knew the job, and he seemed to be enjoying the role until he departed. But there are many members of Tynwald, many members of the House of Keys who could undertake this role, and no doubt the Chief Minister will be thinking, or will already have thought, about potential replacements.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Little Manx Radio newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.